Thank you for inviting me here. I'm really glad to be here to talk about a bit about Wood City to you. And well, why was Helsinki building a wood city? That's a good question. We can maybe look at the picture without the text for a bit. The wood city is actually a whole city block very near center of Helsinki in Finland. And it consists of 4 buildings, 2 residential buildings, 8 stories high, made from load-bearing LVL walls and LVL rib panels. Then office building, which is made from massive LVL beams and columns and LVL rib panels. And finally, the third project will be in the next few years, the hotel that will be built on the corner of the block. So the residential buildings and the office building, they are already finished. The residents have been living there for the last 2 years, and the owner of the building and the end user of the building, Supercell, which is a gaming company based on Finland, moved just into the building at the beginning of this month, or year actually. And why was Helsinki building a wood city? And why was Stora Enso building a wood city? The history of this project goes back for around 10 years. When we started talking with one of the largest construction companies in Finland, SRV, about how we can be first on board on massive timber construction. This is about the 3rd time that massive timber construction has tried to get to Finland, or started in Finland in a more massive scale and more larger scale. Of course, we have been building log houses, small buildings from light structures for decades, but this type of construction type has been pushing itself solely to the Finnish market, and now it was finally time for it to emerge, as the political climate, for example, is more open to this type of construction. And why? Well, somebody has to be the first one. So City of Helsinki saying yes, that this is a great plan, this looks good, go on, go ahead. One of the largest construction companies not seeing this as a risk, but as an opportunity, and saying, yes, let's do this, this sounds really good. And of course, we are the provider for the elements and materials. We have been promoting this, we have been building the background for a long time. So of course, we were on board from the beginning very easily. But this is quite a massive project in the end, in a European scale also, because when the hotel will be finished, there will be over 6,000 cubic meters of LVL and also some Glulam in these buildings. And there's a lot, there are not so many projects all over the Europe that can claim the same amount of massive timber used or same volumes used. And usually they are consistent of several smaller projects spreading to a wider area. But overall, this is also the largest LVL project in Europe, at least in Europe, let's say. We are not completely sure what's going on in Asia, so there might be also some bigger, but it's clear for us that this is biggest in Europe also. So overall, very large-scale project and kind of a jumpstart to Finnish wood construction market. As an example that this can be done. City building control officials, large construction companies are willing to go into this, and we can make it happen. So that is basically the why from my question from the beginning. Now I'm going to talk to you a bit more about what it means on being the first. I'm not going to go into very much detail. I'm not the engineer in this project, and maybe it's since we have only 20 minutes and we might want to leave some time also for questions at the end, just to look at what this project is all about. And mostly I'll be talking about the Wood City office, which is the second project. And basically, this is a project we are really, really proud of. So everything has been going really well here. The end user, the investor, the developer, they are all really happy about this project, how it turned out. And it basically just also looks really, really great, both inside and outside. And this is a photograph of office's lobby. I've dubbed this person the office barbarian. It's an important character, actually, considering the whole development of Wood City office, because this is from a Supercell's game called Clash of Clans. I have not played it. I'm not sure if you have. Maybe your kids have played it. At least they probably know it. But basically, this made Supercell one of the, or maybe even the most successful mobile game companies in the world. And that allowed them to take some liberties, for example, to be brave to come to Wood City, to invest to it, and design it as solely for their use and as their new headquarters in Helsinki. And also, behind you can see the roof lobby. Maybe you have seen some promotional renderings before about that. This is kind of a landmark for Wood City, or has been so far, and of course made from also our CLT. Going to the very beginning, this is from production, and when you are first on something, it's of course you have new materials, new products you bring into market, but also we do not assemble grip panels, which you can see in this photograph ourselves. So when we started building Wood City projects, first of all, we had to find some partners. We had to find companies that are willing to, are believing also in massive timber construction, and who are capable of adjusting their production lines to take these types of grip panels in their production, for example. So we started with basically zero suppliers or partners here. Now we have 2 of them happily going forward, producing massive timber products here. And unfortunately, I cannot show any photographs of their production line itself, because that is something that they want to keep to themselves only. But there's a lot of development also taken there. So in practice, they have developed hydraulic press on how to glue the rib panels, for example, which is not very common in anywhere in the world. So people have been making huge investments, huge, if not monetarily, then at least taking the leap on, because they believe in this. And of course, Wood City has been something that they can, when they know that they will be working with Wood City with us, it has been sort of a stepping stone for them. So there's a huge project for them to start. Also, of course, when we are the first, in Finland, it's quite common that the larger construction companies, they don't actually install anything by their own personnel. They use specialized subcontractors and suppliers. So as this type of building has not been built before, of course, there's not so much experience in subcontractors on installation in Finland. So to compute that, we actually rented a small storage area near the production facilities for the rib panels and beams and columns. And we let them play there for some time. Just we gave them the test elements we couldn't use in the building anyway, because they were tested for glue seam thicknesses, for example, stuff like that. So they were not certified yet. So they took the elements, they took the beams, columns, and took some guys there who were going to be at the site, and they started going through how to do this, if this is going to work as they have been planning it on paper. And this was a really good solution for us to pay that smallest rent, to give these materials to them so they can practice, they can be more sure when the actual installation at site starts, that this is going to as well as they have been planning it to go. And these are some photographs of the site from the first installation. Of course, these products, for example, on this left photo, you can see the installation of the first column at Wood City. As you can see, it's a two-story column. There was also a lot of development in here. We copied a lot from steel industry, for example. And as you can see, it's, for example, you can see the attachment point for the lift is not on top, but in the a little above the middle of the column. This is just some basic issues that we worked through when we were planning the whole project. If it's attached, it would be really easy to attach it to the top, to the steel console, for example. We wouldn't need to make any holes to columns and so on. But that would have meant that the installation team would have needed a huge personal lift on site. So just so that they could remove the lifting device. So we ended up like this, and this lifting device was designed and manufactured for this use only. So it was developed for this project. Simplicity was one of the key issues here. That's why, for example, you can see the beams. There are no CNC machining there. They are really straightforward, just rectangulars. Of course, there are two holes for lifting points because that is for safety's sake. We cannot allow in Finland, and of course at Stora Enso, that these types of beams would be lifted with only lifting screws, for example, or slings tied out over the beams. So simplicity also for both elements and for connections. So is as easy as possible to assemble it at site. And there's also the first three panels, and as you can see, the installation team is quite happy at this point because they have been going at the beginning. Of course, this is a small company; it's a huge risk for them if this goes really badly. And at this point, they could already say that it's going as planned. And this is only the first floor, where usually all the problems will be discovered. But really great job from these guys. Really good preparing commitment to whole project. Then I want to talk you a bit about moisture control. If you know anything about Finnish market, moisture control here is a huge issue, and it was even bigger issue in Wood City, because we introduced Central European and Norwegian type of construction here. Because we are building from massive timber, we don't actually have to care about it getting wet. As soon as we have planned on how it will dry. The timber itself, it won't damage if it gets a bit water, if it gets a bit moisture, as long as we can control the period that it's exposed. So we made a really wide moisture control plan, detailed to basically to every level on how to do everything from production to site. And we used scientific applications, for example, Finnish mold growth model, and a tool that was published with it to determine on how long period we can keep the structures exposed to, for example, rain before they start developing problems like microgrowth. And one huge learning from this project was that we had to really develop the whole paper trail to Finnish market on how to build these types of buildings. And as you can see on the right, we used a training system for the incoming water to get it off the floors. And basically, we taped every seam. So our basic idea was that the facade will be about 2 floors below the actual frameworks. And that ensures that because there are 2 floors that have been seamed and taped up, there's little to no risk that any water could get through those floors, that there's already facade with insulation, for example, and interior works are starting and so on. And to ensure that, of course, the frame will dry as planned. Yes, general section of the building, just for you to see. It's unfortunately I can't show any photographs from the interiors at this point, but it's really, really nice. It's developed for one company to use. For example, you can see the top 5 floors are connected by a huge staircase. There's also a small open staircase connecting 2 bottom floors to the upper part. But basically, it's about 1,300 square meters overall, 1 floor. It's a quite useful design, so you can see around 2 concrete cores when there's lifts and staircases. It's a service area, and around it, right next to the exterior wall, there's the working spaces. And there are some specialties, of course. It's a really special company we were building this for. So in the 8th floor, for example, there's a sauna department with 2 saunas and a swimming pool. And on top of that, there was also a swimming pool on the roof with a huge terrace. But because of these structures, we also had to introduce steel structures to this building to take the extra loads. And this actually was a really easy decision because steel and massive timber, that is CNC machined, they go together really well because tolerances are so similar. And here are still a view for the lobby and the CLT features in the roof, and of which we are really, really proud. And I like these photographs a lot. So this was my presentation.